Man, on a day like today, where it's going to get pushing 80 and it's just a gorgeous sunny day,
This place gonna be
it's why it's so hard for me to move anywhere else.
Didn't you hear the clap?
This doesn't like it when we go over 11 minutes, which we always do.
It creates all sorts of problems.
kerfuffles.
Yeah.
Coming. Coming to you almost live from the Beer and Whiskey Studios, high atop Barley's Tap Room on Washington Street in glorious downtown Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five. That's where I get my good buddy, Big John Richards, on the other end of the dais here to pick a beer from one of Barley's 72 taps, 50, 60 bottles and cans. We sniff it, we sip it, we get bits about it. Sometimes we learn a little bit about the brewery, sometimes a little bit about brewing. Today, our special guest sitting in between us, a thorn between two roses, is the big kahuna. The big kahuna around these parts. This is Josh Beebe. He owns Barley's as well as the Trapdoor downstairs, which is a Belgian restaurant and tap room. John, what are we drinking?
We took a suggestion from Mr. Beebe here, and we're having a King Titus Porter from Maine Brewing Company, which I'm pretty excited for, because I also know how good this beer is, and it's a great little porter. It's a fun beer. It's a bigger than average beer. It's 7%. Technically, for the style, it only goes up to 6.5. But
I think this is 7.5, right?
I thought it was 7 straight up,
Sure.
but it's just a
About
little,
6.5.
just a little over that.
Well,
So,
this is a well-oiled machine.
yeah.
Sorry.
So it's the beer's named after Silverback Gorilla too. That they've Gorilla Conservation has become the cause that they donate to from this beer, and they do a lot of that from their brewery. So it doesn't hurt that it's a little bigger than average for a porter too, but that's a really nice roasty porter without getting too heavy or too acrid with the coffee.
Yeah.
Just got a nice big malt balance, a big backbone, and a little bit of like a woodsy, hoppy, American hoppy presence in there. It's just got a perfect balance for a pretty big beer at 7 something.
Seven and change.
Some bits and pieces.
220, 221, whatever it
Right.
is.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
I'm really excited to try this beer. It's probably been, I don't know, probably 8-9 years since I've had it.
Oh, wow.
And this will be the first time I've had it on tap, I think. So.
Wow.
But it's one of the
There you
ones that has always stuck out in my mind since the very first time I had it, when Maine first came to South Carolina.
Yeah.
This was one of the beers we had in package, and we only got one case of it, and then it was gone.
Oh,
We got
really?
so
Wow.
little of it when they
Yeah.
first started coming down here. It was
Yeah, and then Maine
impossible.
kind of backed off a little bit with distribution down
Yep.
here, and we weren't seeing any of it for a long while. And then they made a big resurgence a year or two ago.
Yeah, now you can almost get it year round.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. So to see this on tap back in the bar, I'm excited to
Yeah.
taste it. Maine's primarily known for lunch, which is their IPA, but the thing I like about Maine Brewing Company is they kind of like, I often say this about Highland, they pick a few really core basic styles and they just knock them out of the
Just
park.
do it right.
They do it
Yep.
right. Everything's balanced. Maine Lunch is probably
You know,
one of the best IPAs in the market.
Oh, I think it's.
And again,
I've
it's-
often said I think it's
yeah.
the most well-balanced IPA in the world.
Yeah, and I feel, if my memory serves me right, I feel similar about this
Yeah.
beer. So.
Well, speaking of that, I was doing my homework for this beer, and I was kind of rereading their story, and it struck me that he started brewing in 2004, didn't move into a commercial brew house till 2010.
Wow.
But they talked about how he spent in a tiny 1-barrel stovetop thing,
Yeah.
months trying to perfect Peeper, his first recipe.
Yeah.
Just brewing it over and over and over
Yeah.
again until he got it where he thought it was right.
Peeper was fantastic.
And
too.
it still
It's
is.
still a great beer.
And that's what they do. They brew a beer till they get it right. and then they send it out.
Yeah.
And that plays into what I was talking about lazy brewers in our last session.
We won't
We won't get into
revisit
that. No,
We
don't have
won't
time for that.
revisit that.
Definitely not lazy
Right.
brewers in Maine.
No. Let's have a sip.
I'm in.
Boys,
Always a pleasure.
text Miss Lily. Love having you here, Josh.
Always.
That's
No words.
no words. I mean, that's
So
just
smooth.
so smooth, so clean. It's big and flavorful, but it's still super. It's
It's like a
superbly
robust
balanced.
milkshake.
Right, it is. And this I was just gonna say really helps kind of illustrate what robust means
Yeah.
when you're talking about robust.
But nothing overwhelms anything.
No.
There's no big
That's the
overwhelming
balance.
flavor here. It is.
And what I love, and you can always tell this about a really quality brewery, and it's in all their beers, but the lacing, the head on this beer
Yeah.
when you first poured it
Right.
was just a gorgeous white, but the lacing sticks to that glass. You just got good, solid product here.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's there's so much that goes into the evaluation, the way you look at it, and knowing what to look for. Speaking of looking for lacing, looking for color, looking around the edges of a dark beer like that to see the sometimes red or brown
there's a lot of red
highlights.
going in
And
there.
there is. It's a beautiful
really
ruby
pretty.
around the edge of that glass.
Yep.
It almost reminds me of, I don't know, it's weird what I'm about to say, but it's almost like if you took the sourness away from a Belgian red ale, a Belgian Flanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brun.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost got that texture to it and those flavors without the sourness.
Yeah.
Like I said, that might be a stretch, but in my head, I can see that.
The thing that's sticking with me on the finish of it is a little bit of chocolate.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's.
Yeah.
A
There's
little
a lot-
sweetness there.
There's a lot
Yeah.
going on there. There's a coffee. There's a straight up malt roast, that kind of bread crust thing. There's chocolate in there, and it's all playing well together. And this is something that we talked about with the European beers, and especially like the Belgian beers. That the balance is so perfect on all of them. And you take a recipe like this, and it's so easy to let something get out of balance. And we do it a lot in American beer. We're just find one flavor and make it as big as you possibly can. But we need to find our way back to where our flavors, even in a big beer like this, are balanced and smooth and clean.
And I talked to a lot of breweries, and a lot of the mid-range breweries are starting to do that. They're
Yeah.
starting to scale back on a bunch of specialty stuff, leave that for the local guys, and just focus on good, clean, quality beer. I know,
Yeah.
talking with Chris, Left Hand, they're talking about scaling back and, they can't just live off nitro beers alone.
Right.
Talked to Leah at Highland, she's saying the same thing. So you look at these breweries that have been around 20, 30 plus years, that have kind of grown out of the microbrew and into that mid-level, mid-tier, below the big kingpins of, your Sam Adams and your
Right.
Stone and your Sierra Nevada. And they're the ones that are struggling after the pandemic. And it's like, this is getting crazy, people. We just need to scale back down,
Right.
stop all the craziness and get back to just drinking beer that tastes like beer. And so,
Right.
there's a few breweries like Maine that never really got out of doing that
Yeah.
in the first place. So, yeah,
Well, this was
proud to support them.
kudos to you guys. This was an excellent choice.
Excellent.
Although,
I mean, this is-
although anytime you attach Maine to anything, you're not going to get an argument out of me.
Right. Yeah, they are one of the handful of breweries that I feel can almost do no wrong. I don't think I've ever had a beer from them that wasn't,
Right.
pushing a 10.
Again, it's not even just about the beer; it's the quality. It's that robustness. It's that lacing. It's just from top to bottom, everything they do.
And,
is really
and by
quality.
far the simplest labels.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right.
Truly.
Makes it easier when you're not making a billion beers to
Right.
come up with names that aren't like
Yeah.
Guys,
craziness.
so damn lucky.
Cheers.
See you next time.